What's going on, guys? Jim the Game Guru. Okay, let's go into 35 first-person games on the Nintendo Switch. If you guys are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. I am your video game and board game nerd. Okay, first game on the list, demon slaying, ripping and tearing action with Doom. Fantastic game. One of the titles that I picked up early on. It is a little bit more on the expensive side. It is a full 60 bucks, but what a fantastic game about being on Mars in a base, and all hell breaks loose with a bunch of demons. The only downside with Doom is that the graphics are not as good as the other platforms, and it's obvious dealing with the Switch's specs and portability, but they've actually done a fantastic job porting this game to the Switch. The second game, Doom Eternal, more demon slaying action, absolutely fantastic. This game has better levels than the first game, in my opinion. The combat is way more fierce, I feel, than the first game. The only thing I don't like about the combat, though, this time around with Doom Eternal, I feel like it's a little bit more complicated. Before it used to be really simple. You just put a gun to a demon's head and just pull the trigger. And now they've made it all complicated where, sometimes you have to light them on fire. And there's times you're forced to use the chainsaw because there's a huge lack of ammo in this game. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, ammo is hard to get in Doom Eternal. But it is another fantastic first-person game. Okay, third game on the list is Firewatch. The year is 1989. You are a man named Henry who has retreated from your messy life to work as a fire lookout in the Wyoming wilderness. Perched high atop a mountain, it's your job to look for smoke and keep the wilderness safe. And especially a hot, dry summer has everyone on edge. Yeah, so this one you're basically working in the mountains and you're a Firewatch, and you apparently have somebody else that you're talking through with this radio, and you kind of establish some kind of relationship with them. So the fourth game on the list, Duke Nukem 3D World Tour. Okay, this is a classic. This is good if you're into like real retro first-person shooter games. Back in the days with like Doom, the first early Dooms, and Duke Nukems, and Rise of the Triad, and a lot of those old style shooting games. And this is basically the original Duke Nukem 3D with a bunch of episodes, the first 3 episodes plus a new episode. But yeah, it's fantastic. I think the controls are beautiful on it, and I've been enjoying that one tremendously. But then again, I have nostalgia for a lot of these old shooters because I used to play a lot of these old games on old PCs. So yeah, you definitely have to have a nostalgia for that. And if you don't, you probably won't be a big fan of Duke Nukem 3D World Tour. The fifth game on the list, Metro 2033 Redux. The year is 2033. An entire generation has been born and raised underground, and their besieged metro stations, cities struggle for survival with each other and the mutant hordes that await outside. You are Artyom, born in the last days before the fire, but raised underground. So yeah, you're this character, and you have to go through all these underground catacombs. There's like mutants and stuff, and then you kind of go out into the wasteland. This is definitely not a game that I've actually had a chance to play yet, but I'm very interested one day in getting a hold of this title. This title does go on sale a lot too. Now we're going to the sixth game, which is Metro Last Light Redux. It is years 2034, so 1 year later. Beneath the ruins of post-apocalyptic Moscow, in the tunnels of the Metro, the remnants of mankind are besieged by deadly threats from outside and within. Mutants stalk the catacombs beneath the desolate surface and hunt amidst the poisoned skies above. So I believe you have the same kind of character. I'm assuming this is a sequel to the game, considering it's 1 year later. Both those Metro games, I haven't had a chance to tear into those yet. Let me know in the comments if they're any good. Alright, so number 7 is Strife. This is another retro shooter, and this one actually has a campaign with it. So it's got this old look and feel, very retro, very pixelated, very like DOS game, and you have to have that kind of nostalgia for it. You're not going to really get into it. But this is also, it's got a little bit of role-playing elements with first-person shooter. You're in this campaign where you're a part of this group, this rebel group that goes against this kind of this order, this religious cult, I guess, what you'd call them. You're basically battling against them and going through a bunch of missions. It's actually really, really well done. If you're into old retro-style stuff, then that might be a good game for you. The 8th game on the list is something that's very, very unique. It is technically a shooter. I don't think of it as a traditional shooter, and that's SUPERHOT. Because in this game, what happens is every time you move, that's when time moves normally. But when you don't move, everything is in slow motion. And yes, you can pick up like weapons, swords, and guns and stuff and shoot. But the game is you're basically go from section to section, and every section you go into, you have to get through the section killing these red polygon characters until you complete that section without getting hit. The minute you get hit, you're dead, and you have to kind of restart it. And you just keep restarting, and it's kind of like a trials game. You keep restarting that section until you pass it to get to the next section. Backstory with that is that you're somebody who's playing a game. So you have a hacked a program that you're playing a game from this corporation, but yet then they find out that you're not supposed to be there, not supposed to be playing, and then they kind of take over your video game session. The ninth one on the list, Bulletstorm Duke of Switch Edition. Step into the boots of Grayson Hunt, an exiled member of the elite assassin group Dead Echo, after a battle with his former general sends them both crash landing on the abandoned resort planet of Stygia. Grayson must brave the wasteland on his way to confronting the man that once ordered him to do the unthinkable. Will he get his team out alive? Okay, this one, I remember playing this one way back. I think I bought this one on the Xbox 360. It was a long time ago. I don't really remember too much of the game. I remember there was very unique mechanics where you can actually manipulate things around you with some kind of a beam, so you can like shove and toss things and bring people towards you. When I purchased that game on the Xbox 360, I think I played it for like a day or two straight, and then I believe I was playing that with my friend and we beat that game, and then never touched it ever since. So that's why, I mean, it's been so long, and I don't actually remember too much of the game. But it is a pretty cheap game. It's got pretty nice graphics for being a game on the Switch. It's about $30. Then it also goes on sale a lot. It goes on sale for, like, I've seen a lot of sales where it will drop down to about $7. Okay, so the 10th game on the list, talk about Duke Nukem. We got Iron Fury. Shelley Bombshell Harrison takes on a quest to slay evil transhumanist mastermind Dr. Jadis Esco in the streets of Neo DC. She leaves a trail of carnage through huge multi-path levels filled with gigantic explosions, more secret areas that we can count, and inhuman force foes behind every corner. Yeah, so this is it's gonna get that same retro look if you're into the retro shooters, but this one being the protagonist being a woman, and it's kind of like thinking like Duke Nukem, but instead of Duke, you're a woman. So instead of hail to the king, hail to the queen in this game. Another game that I have on my list. I can't wait to pick it up one day and give it a shot. The 11th game is an actual collection. It is the Serious Sam collection. I absolutely love Serious Sam. I remember playing these titles on the 360 and just blowing through all of them and beating them all. Fantastic game. It's a game with ludicrous story, just stupid story, but my God, the action in these games are so amazing. There's just so many things coming at you, and you have to shoot so many things. And all it is just an action game. You just shoot, and destroy things. Serious Sam 3, I think, is definitely the best in the collection. It's got a very interesting big boss battle at the very end of the game on Serious Sam 3. But as far as story, it's nothing to write home about. It's nothing but action. That's all it's about is action. You just plug in, you play, you just shoot things. So 12th, Project Warlock. Yeah, this one's cool. This one's got another retro look to it, pixel art. It's got really good lighting effects. I'm really enjoying this game. There's a ton of guns to get, and you're just a protagonist that goes through and has to defeat evil things in the world. And you go through a bunch of levels, you face a big evil boss there. Then you go through a bunch of other levels, you face another evil boss, and then till you get to the very end. It takes a while to get to the combat in that game. The combat, when you first play it, the first hour or two, it's okay because you have to get used to the combat. The combat can be a little frustrating, but once you get used to the combat, it's actually pretty solid. I've been enjoying that one. Okay, so the next ones on the list, I'm going to put them all in one group. And so this is going to be 13th through 16th. And it's going to be Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, and Doom 64. So Bethesda brought all these classic Doom games to the Switch. Dooms 1 and 2 are classic games. Absolutely awesome, but you do have to be have the nostalgia for the retro shooters in order to really enjoy those. Doom 3 I thought was a really fantastic game. I remember when it first came out on the older computers, and it was just so mouth-dropping to watch a lot of the stuff that was going on in that game, and it would actually make you jump. But now when I play it in this current age, or in this current like decade, I should say, it's not that scary because of all the other games that have come out that have the same type of effects, and we've been kind of numb to it. So, and it's old now, so it doesn't have that same effect and impact as it did when it first came out a long time ago. But one thing that's interesting about Doom 3 is that I feel like it's got a little bit of horror survival mixed in with the first person shooter. And it's actually really solid. Doom 64 is one that I never played on the N64, but Doom 64 is really good. I'm actually impressed with the lighting. Again, you have to be into the retro shooter styles, or else you're not going to really enjoy it. But I think the controls are excellent, and it's just a really good version of Doom. Okay, so 17th on the list, Crysis Remastered. So you're a team of these future military soldiers. You drop down into a jungled area. I can't remember where it's at. I think it might be on the Korean peninsula or something. And you're trying to rendezvous and rescue some soldiers, and then you end up discovering some alien type of life form there. But yes, this game is amazing. I mean, it runs really well on the Switch, and it's cool how you have these superpowers with your suit. You can jump really high. You can kind of camouflage yourself within the environment. It's showing its age because it's an older game, and this is the game that they used a lot of the times when they were testing hardware and saying, hey, can this handle Crysis? Can this handle Crysis? Well, apparently the Switch with this port can handle Crysis. But yeah, it's really good if you're into first-person shooters. I definitely recommend that. 18th on the list is Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. This game is, well, it's one of the most expensive games on the Switch. It's going to be a full-blown price of $60. As BJ Blazkowicz experience an unforgettable action-packed story brought to life by extraordinary characters. Reunite with your friends and fellow freedom fighters as you take on the evil Frau Engel and her Nazi army. Yeah, so you're basically going through here and just shooting a bunch of Nazi army people. Some of the guns look awesome in the game. Now, I haven't had a chance to play this yet. It's only because of the price. The price has really thrown me off. This is a game that is part of the holiday sales that Bethesda brings up a few times a year. So maybe this Christmas I'll pick this version up. I hope it dips further than the 50% that they normally do. 19th on the list is a free-to-play game, Warface. Warface is an online first-person shooter like no other. Battle across 50-plus multiplayer PvP maps, tackle through PvE raids and co-op, and unleash a vast arsenal of 200-plus realistic customized weapons. Join over 80 million players worldwide and play for free. Yeah, the thing that really interests me about this game is the PvE raids. I'm not big on like a lot of online PvP, whether it's team-based shooters or what, but PvE on this one and the raids kind of interest me. So I'm very curious to see what that's all about. But if you guys have played that, let me know in the comments if it's any good. The 20th on the list, Paladins. Paladins is set in a vibrant fantasy world and features a diverse cast of champions ranging from sharpshooting humans to mech-riding goblins, mystical elves, and jetpack-clad dragons. Each champion brings a unique set of abilities to the battlefield, and new champions are regularly added to Paladins. And apparently this has some kind of thing where you get cards, and you can customize your champion with cards, kind of like deck building style. And I don't know, this game kind of reminds me a lot of like Overwatch. And I can't help to think, because I saw this game after Overwatch was announced for the Switch, and for some reason I feel like it's an Overwatch clone, and I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's got its own uniqueness to it, but I don't know. I just think Overwatch every time I see it because it just feels so similar. 21st on the list, Borderlands Legacy Collection. Borderlands, awesome. This will have everything from the first Borderlands and then the prequel and Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 being one of the most amazing games I've ever played. If you have never played Borderlands 2, you have to play it. It's fantastic. The characters in there are fantastic. The dialogue will make you laugh. Like the evil villain in Borderlands 2, like I can't tell you how many times he makes me laugh with some of the crap that he says. But yeah, fantastic first-person shooter. I don't care for the prequel too much, but I mean, as far as the first Borderlands, it's pretty decent. And Borderlands 2 is just amazing. 22nd on the list is Bioshock Collection. Yeah, this one is really cool. I haven't played the third one yet, so I don't know what the third one is like. But the other ones I've played, I actually enjoy the Bioshock universe. The character models are a little weird. They're a little freaky to me. I feel like it's just, I don't know, for some reason they don't feel very comforting and natural, and it's a little freaky when I play it. But other than that, it's been fantastic. I really want to play the third one to see what that's like. But one day I'll probably pick up that Bioshock Collection. The Bioshock Collection has gone on sale a couple times, and it's been really dirt cheap. But I was busy buying other games, so I wasn't able to pick that up. So 23rd on the list is Call of Juarez Gunslinger. I absolutely love this game. This game, yeah, it's a Western, and no one talks about this game. No one talks about it. No one says anything. Yeah, it's a port. I mean, just like a lot of the other games on this list. There are a bunch of ports, but I think it's fantastic. I love how it's got an arcade mode that you can try to go through there and shoot up a bunch of dudes to rack up points. And then it's got a great story mode. The only thing I don't like about the game are the duels, but there is an option in the game to turn off duels. The duels in the game suck. I absolutely hate them. But I play the main game without the duels. I turn it off. The gun shooting in that game is so damn satisfying. It's satisfying. It's a Western, yeah, but sometimes every now and then I like to get into that little Western thing and shoot some dudes up. And it's a great game. 24th on the list, The Outer Worlds. Lost in transit while on a colonist ship bound for the furthest edge of the galaxy, you awake decades later only to find yourself in the midst of a deep conspiracy threatening to destroy the Halcyon colony. As you explore the furthest reaches of space and encounter various factions, all vying for power, the character you decide to become will determine how this player-driven story unfolds. This game has a lot of the Fallout feel to it. It is created by Obsidian. It's awesome because it's got a little bit like almost like RPG elements to it, plus a first-person shooter. And it's not run and gun by any means. I feel like this is a little bit more of a slower paced when you're shooting. And there's a lot of parts where you can use stealth and you can sneak into places, you can steal stuff, just like you could do in a lot of the Fallout games, whether it's Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3 or whatever. And they've kind of preserved that feeling in this game. Now, the one bad thing about The Outer Worlds, though, is that they've had some issues on the Switch. They've had some performance issues that have been really kind of plaguing it. So I don't know if they've patched a lot of those performance issues up yet. And the other thing is, I've been playing so many other different games that I haven't really been willing to pull down the money that they want for this game on the Switch. But one day I will. The speed run for this game is actually amazing, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the speed run for The Outer Worlds. Yeah, but you should look it up on YouTube. It's just some of the glitches that they expose when they're speed running through there is just crazy. 25th on the list, Minecraft. Well, I'm not going to say too much about it. Minecraft is best played in first person. Yes, you can toggle a third person view in the game, but most people, I feel, play this game in first person mode. It's a crafting, you're in a sandbox. It's a sandbox environment. You kind of feel free to be creative as you want, to build whatever you want, whether you play in creative mode or survival mode. And you can have ginormous worlds. The Switch version is the Bedrock Edition, which supports infinite worlds. This is one of the few games on the list that are not a shooter, and it's more of a creative first-person game. The next game is also not really a shooter either, and that is Subnautica, 26th on the list, which I just recently had a video on. I absolutely love Subnautica. This is the first time I played Subnautica. I've never played it on the PC or any other platform. It's just really, really unique. It's one of the most unique titles I've played in a long time. I mean, you crash land on an alien planet. You're in the water, no land around you whatsoever, and you have to swim around and scavenge resources, and you have to build your own water base, and you have to explore the water areas all around you to get all these different things in order to craft certain components, in order to craft new vehicles, water vehicles, or new things for your base. And then it's just awesome. And there's a story within the game where you can get like distress signals from other people, and then you go to their escape pods and try to find them. But yeah, I have really been enjoying Subnautica. It's been a hell of a lot of fun. And it runs well on the Switch. Every now and then, you might get a little bit of a dip in performance, only when you get to a certain part where it has to load a bunch of stuff. But it's really, really quick. It's like maybe it lasts like a second. But most of the time, the game runs smooth as butter. The 26th on the list is Overwatch. Bend time, defy physics, and unleash a dizzying array of extraordinary powers and weapons. Engage your enemies in iconic locations from all around the globe in the ultimate team-based shooter. Yep, there you go. It's the ultimate team-based shooter. It's a very popular title. I know they had a shit ton of snafus with the game when it was first released. I can't remember if they actually released on time. I thought they had some crazy snafu where they had to pull it for a little while, and then they ended up releasing it later. I'm not sure how it plays. I don't know how it plays compared to other platforms. I'm not sure if it runs well on the Switch. Let me know in the comments if it's any good. 27th on the list, we're gonna get into a little bit of a survival horror here with Alien Isolation. When she left Earth, Ellen Ripley promised her daughter she would return home to celebrate her 11th birthday. She never made it. 15 years later, Amanda Ripley learns the flight recorder from her mother's ship has been recovered. Amanda enters Sevastopol space station to finally solve the mystery of her mother's disappearance, only to confront unknown menaces. All the unknown menaces are the xenomorphs on here, right? I would say this is more of a survival horror, because you're not going to sit there and go buck wild on aliens every time you come across them and see them. It's a very interesting story, and I love the survival horror mechanics involved with it. So that game is, I want to say $39 full price, but it is a game that drops a sale every now and then. 28th on the list, Hypercharge Unboxed. This one's actually a really unique shooter. It's kind of like a tower defense game where you're in a toy store, or well, you can be in different places. You could be like in a bedroom. You can be one of the maps. You can be like on shelves in a toy store. It's really, really cool because you are toy figures, and a lot of the enemies are toy figures, and you have to defend things. And it is so damn unique. It's so cool. It kind of reminds me like if you had like if you turned like Toy Story or something like that into a first-person shooter like, with tower defense. This is what you would get. It is Hypercharge Unboxed. Super, super cool game. It's actually got a really good price on it. I think it's like $19 full when it's full price, which is not bad at all. Okay, so 29th on the list is Earthfall Alien Horde. Earthfall is a 4-player co-op shooter where you team up with friends or play alone to save the world from invading aliens, search for over 20 different kinds of weapons, or use 3D printers to print your own, battle your way through 16 epic levels that tell the continuing story of humanity's struggle to survive. Yep. So you have a bunch of aliens that kind of storm you, and then you can actually set up defense perimeters. You're locked down in certain areas, and apparently you have 16 different levels that you can sit there and just battle off all these aliens and shoot them down. When I look at the trailer for this and look at some of the scenes, it kind of, I get like this vibe of like Left 4 Dead, but but instead of zombies, it's aliens. I mean, I don't know, for some reason that's what I think when I look at the trailers, but I'm sure once I play this game, it's not going to be anything like that. But just by looking at the trailers, that's the feeling I get. So 30th on the list is Rico, and this game, you can play local co-op with it, split screen, and it is a game where you do a lot of breach and assaults, and there's a lot of slow-mo in it. You go from area to area to area, and you try to clear out each of the rooms. And I believe this one's a roguelike, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. I think it is. Okay, 31st on the list, Immortal Redneck. Blast a swarm of mummies using more than 50 weapons. Explore Giza's pyramids in this frantic shooter. The game revolves around a redneck tourist who wakes up mummified in ancient Egypt after an accident. Why is he here? How do you survive the accident? Why in the hell is he mummified? Yeah, I don't know anything about this game. I've seen some screenshots, but I don't know anything about it. If you guys know if Immortals Redneck's any good, let me know. I mean, that's a ton of weapons. It says in its game description, 50 weapons. So 32nd on the list is City of Brass. Become a daring thief in a City of Brass, a first-person action adventure from senior Bioshock developers. Armed with a scimitar and versatile whip, you'll lash and slash, bait, and trap your way to the heart of an opulent Arabian Nights-themed metropolis, or face certain death as time runs out. Yeah, it's another game that I haven't had any experience playing yet. I'm not a big fan of the graphics of this game. I don't know. I'm more about stories, characters, and gameplay. So I'm hoping that completely rules out anything graphical that is I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't look very pleasing to the game or awesome when I look at this game. You know, maybe one day when I play it, it'll actually be pretty decent. I'm hoping the gameplay will definitely trump the way it looks. Okay, so 33rd on the list is a first-person puzzle game, The Spectrum Retreat. The Spectrum Retreat is a challenging first-person puzzle game set in the near future. You awake at the Penrose Hotel, a peaceful yet unsettling refuge from the outside world. As a valued guest, your existence is embedded into the corridors and guest rooms of the Penrose. Yeah, this one looks really, really cool. I don't know, just something about it. I love the way it's very pleasing to look at. And I'm not big into puzzle games as much. There's a few puzzle games I'll play here and there, but this one, as far as a first-person puzzler, looks interesting. I'm very intrigued. Definitely, I think I'm definitely gonna pick this game up once it hits a very deep sale. 34th on the list is Void Bastards. Forget everything you know about the first-person shooters. Void Bastards asks you to take charge, not just point your gun and fire. Your task is to lead the ragtag Void Bastards out of the Sargasso Nebula. You make the decisions where to go, what to do, and who to fight. And then you must carry out that strategy in the face of strange and terrible enemies. Interesting art. Like, the art style of this game is completely interesting. Very cartoon looking like. And I believe this one's got roguelike elements that when you die, that certain things you craft will carry on to the next run. Apparently it's rated okay, but yeah, this looks very, very interesting. I feel like this is a little bit more strategic too. It's not so much run and gun. I mean, like it says in the description, not just point your gun and fire. So it sounds like there's a little bit of strategy to the game, and you got to decide carefully which way you want to go. And I guess if you choose the wrong way or you get too aggressive, you can actually die. But yeah, I'm very interested to hear about this. If anybody's played Void Bastards, let me know. I really want to find out if this is any good. Okay, so the last game on the list, 35th on the list, is the Turing Test. It is another puzzle game. The Turing Test is a challenging first-person puzzle game set on Jupiter's moon, Europa. You are Ava Turing, an engineer for the International Space Agency, sent to discover the cause behind the disappearance of the ground crew station there. Guided only by the station's AI, Tom finds your way through the facility and discover what it truly means to be human. Yeah, it's another one of those games that looks pretty interesting. I haven't had a chance to jump into it, but I remember seeing a couple reviews on this before from other channels, and a lot of them said that the controls were a little iffy, you know, how you pick up things and place things. But I think it looks, I mean, I love the theme of it. It looks really awesome. But it's another puzzle game. If you're interested in puzzle and you like first-person type style games, then this could be a good option. Let me know in the comments if anyone has played this and if it's any good. Okay, so there you go. It's 35 first-person games, and I like that there's definitely some uniqueness in all of them, and they're not all shooters. Like Firewatch is not a shooter. SUPERHOT is a shooter technically, but I feel like it's not really your traditional shooter. And I like it's like Subnautica, Minecraft, and then some of these puzzle ones toward the end of the list are not shooters. So there's some good variety here in different categories. I am Jim the Game Guru. I will see you guys on the next video. If you like this video, please like, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Bye guys.